So, welcome everyone to the online training session for Boardmaker Studio. My name's Katie Lyon and I'm one of the speech pathologists at Spectronics. Today we're going to take an introductory look at the newest member of the Boardmaker software family, Boardmaker Studio. We're going to look at the Boardmaker Connect Dashboard, the new Boardmaker Interface, because Boardmaker Studio does look a little different to other versions of Boardmaker that you may be familiar with. Also, we're going to take a brief look at gadgets and Studio Starter templates, which really are the thing that set Boardmaker Studio apart from other versions of Boardmaker and save you heaps of time. And I'm also going to take a brief look at resources and further support. So we've got lots to get through today. If you've got any questions throughout the next hour, as I said, please let me know and I'll either cover them during the session or I'll give you my email address and you can follow up afterwards. So before we get started in the software, I just thought I should talk about why you might want to consider this new member of the Boardmaker line. A lot of people are already familiar with Boardmaker, but Boardmaker Studio can look quite different to people, and so they may want to know why they might want to consider it. So as I just touched on, it really does make it easier than ever to create a huge variety of engaging print-based and interactive activities, and there's over 200 templates included. A lot of the time that you would have spent working out how, if you were familiar with Boardmaker Plus, for example, a lot of the time that you would have spent trying to work out how do I do that programming, or if it was some sort of complex programming, Boardmaker Studio really has taken a lot of that time away from you so that you can just concentrate on getting the content in there. Many users will find that Boardmaker Studio lets them create and adapt activities a lot faster than they could with Boardmaker Plus. The new look of Studio suits a lot of users that are used to some more of the Microsoft Office type applications, as it's got a similar feel to it with similar icons and menus. And you may also want to consider Studio if you're completely new to the Boardmaker family and you don't have a particular preference for the traditional Boardmaker interface. What I do just want to touch on is there are so many different models of Boardmaker now, and just briefly touch on the differences between them. So Boardmaker version 6 is the one that allows you to make printed resources. So anything that you design is going to end up a printed resource. It might be a communication book, might be a visual timetable that you print out and stick to the wall. Anything that you make on Boardmaker is going to be a printed resource. You then have Boardmaker Plus version 6, which allows you to do all of the printed resources, plus it also has the interactivity built into it. So you can now do on-screen interactive activities. You can add speech and sounds and movement and music to your boards and really make the boards come alive on your computer, and obviously use them as a teaching and learning tool for your students up at the computer. And then there's Boardmaker with Speaking Dynamically Pro, which allows you to do both the interactive and print-based stuff, but it also adds in some additional voices and allows you to do on-screen keyboards, text-to-speech keyboards. So people can use that as their communication software if they have complex communication needs. But now, as I said, there's Boardmaker Studio, and that's what we're really going to be focusing on today. And it is the newest member of the Boardmaker family, and it allows you to do everything that the previous versions of Boardmaker that I just mentioned, the previous models of Boardmaker allowed you to do, but it does just have a bit of a different feel to it. It comes with, however, I just should say that if you do already have Boardmaker or Boardmaker Plus, please be assured that you will still be supported by Spectronics and in fact May Johnson with those products as well. Just in terms of the symbols that it comes with, so Boardmaker Studio comes with the picture communication symbols. It still comes with your standard 4,500 PCS symbols. However, there are additional PCS collections available. in addition to the classic picture communication symbols, you have what's known as these thin line, and you can see in that image on the screen there that the top row of images are your PCS Classic images, and underneath you've got the thin line version. So they're more age generic, I guess, and also a little bit more detailed than some of the more classic picture communication symbols that are available, that you're used to. Okay, so I'm going to go flick into my Boardmaker now and get rid of those, and take you to what you are faced with when you open Boardmaker Studio. So when you open Boardmaker Studio, for which I might add no longer needs a CD to open, so you no longer need to be running around looking for the CD to boot it up, you are taken to the Kinect Dashboard, as they call it. So this is your gateway to all of your activities. As you can see, displayed across the top of the screen are your recent projects, and you can choose to, if you select one of these, you can choose to go straight into play mode and play that activity, or into edit mode and adjust that activity for, edit your activity. Underneath is where under here is where you can instantly connect to other users in the Boardmaker Share community. If you're not familiar with Boardmaker Share, we will touch on it briefly at the end, but basically it is a website where hundreds and thousands of Boardmaker Share members share their Boardmaker activities, and these activities are available for most of them, 99% of them I would say, are available for free download. So it's really just a sharing website and saves you so much time. You can go in there, search for a Boardmaker board on a particular topic, and 9 times out of 10 you get a whole heap of suggestions of things that people have shared and posted up. So that's a really fantastic resource to know about. On the left here you can see that you have 4 options. You can create a new project from scratch, create a new project from a template, and we will touch on some of those templates that I mentioned are included. You can edit an existing project, or you can play a project, and that takes it straight into your use mode or interactive mode. For now though, let's go straight into creating a new project from scratch and take a look at some of the new Boardmaker Studio, take a look at the new Boardmaker Studio interface and some of the really basic functions that we know about Boardmaker and now how they're done in Boardmaker Studio. I want to create a blank template, so I've just clicked on blank. Now if I go to create, it's going to prompt me to enter a file name. So I'm going to name my file. For the purposes of today, we're going to be doing a timetable. Click create. It's saying that it already exists because I've got another file in there. Obviously done this once before. And I'm just going to click replace. I want to create a new page. And you can see here it gives me the options in terms of page sizes. So no longer will you have that confusion when you think you are designing a board on a full page, would be an A4 page, only to realise that when you print it out you've got all of that white space down the side. This prompts you to do that in the beginning so that you know the space that you're working with. So if I click on A4 paper, for example, and click create, it now gives me the whole white space, which is the whole A4 white space. So now when I print, if I've gone to the edges of this space, I know the full page. I know for me in previous Boardmaker, I used to get tripped up all in terms of trying to navigate print setup menu, so this has really eliminated some of that. Okay, this is where things differ significantly from the Boardmaker programs that you might be familiar with. It's a completely new interface and has lots of different features, but I do just want to take some time to introduce consider some features that we may be familiar with in Boardmaker, and also some of the new features. First of all, there's two modes for Boardmaker Studio. Similarly, that there were two modes for Boardmaker Plus. In Boardmaker Studio, they're known as an edit and a play mode, and the quickest and easiest way to get into those modes is here in the top right hand corner. You can go directly into play mode, which will take your board into the interactive mode and take it to a full screen. As you can see, now we haven't obviously designed anything on this page as yet, so if we go back and stop, it will take us back into edit mode. Edit is obviously the mode where you design your activities. So you can quickly and easily go in and out of those modes by that button up there in the top right hand corner. Now, to create a button, some of the really simple things, let's go through those. To create a button, simply click on this button tool here. Now I can just choose to click once onto my board and it gives me an automatic sized button there. Or, let's just get rid of that, I can click on that button again and click and drag and make the button as big or as small as I would like it to be. Similar to do it before. To spray the button, I then just go to my tool and I, same as before, click and drag my button and it gives me an evenly spaced grid of buttons the same size. Now you'll see that all of those have that highlighted. So if I have access them the wrong size, I can click and drag them in, make it smaller, make it bigger, for example. So I can resize them individually if I choose to select one of those and resize individually. I can move it around the screen. I can do that with multiple buttons selected. Just get rid of that one because we don't want that one. Okay, so down the left-hand side, we have here, down the left-hand side of our space, we have the navigation pane. We've got four views here. We've got our project view. So the project organisation system allows you to store many boards within the one project. This is particularly useful when creating interactive activities because with the ability to add or subtract pages from the project at any time. I think this is a really great improvement as you can do a lot of this, like add new pages, delete pages, just by using your right-click menu on your mouse. The pages boards, if you've got multiple, are also tabbed along the bottom. So let's just go new page. It asks us again because we may be doing a whole project to different and along the bottom. Okay. New page. Okay, first page. That's the menu. Properties menu. I find it useful to use this pin on the right-hand side and pin my properties menu. So now, depending on what is selected, because this makes, if you pin it to the right-hand side, it makes it visible all the time so that you can change some of the properties of either your page, your project, your button, etc. And you can have that visible all the time. On the right-hand side, you see, because I have a button selected, I can choose to change a number of properties like button font. I can, some of the things that now my little menu has flicked onto my other screen, so you may not see that, but when I click on that one there, it comes up with thickness, and I can change the thickness of the border, as you can see. I do need to look into that, why that's doing that, but I also used to have a dotted line if I wanted to do a cutting activity, for example, and I can choose to have no colour in my button. So this is just the default style, which obviously you can change those settings also, but yeah, a lot of those things about the properties of the button can be changed by using of your properties menu, which we've now pinned to the right hand side. If I have my page selected, you can see also that I can choose to change, well, you can see my menu now. You can choose to change the background of the page. And of course it didn't work. Done something wrong there. Here we go, sorry, background. Oh, no, that's symbols. Okay. All right, the third menu there is your symbols menu, and this tab allows you to search your library of symbols through categories, so you can see that all of these folders are categorized. So I can go into each of them. I went into the animals, then I can go into birds, and I've got all of my birds there. Or I can just use this search tab up the top, which is where I can search for images, symbols that match that search term. And that searches for those letters anywhere in the word and all of the symbols that match that search term. So I've got things like walk dog. If I highlight one of those, you can see that it comes up with what the symbol is called. And I can also choose to enter the label when I insert the text or when I insert the symbol or not. We'll take a look at how to put symbols in button in just a moment. Also, the last thing, just to orientate you to this last tab, is the Gadgets tab. So gadgets, there's over 100 gadgets in this menu here, and they're designed to help you build and enhance on-screen activities quickly. They are huge time savers in terms of being able to make your activity interactive in just a second. And they're pre-programmed buttons and objects you drag onto a page, any existing activity or those that you're making from scratch. But we will take a closer look at these later. Let's go back now to our timetable and populate the button. And there's a couple of ways that you can, as with software, you know, there's a couple of ways that you can do different things. So to insert a symbol into the button, there are two main ways. And the first way is probably the most important to get your head around, because this can help us to populate some of our interactive activities really quickly and easily. So this is called Edit in Place. If I have my button selected, it's not showing that I've selected that button, but anyway, let's see. If I just start typing a label when you have the button selected, so you can see that the little text editing toolbox comes up and displays, but I've just typed into that cell. When I hit return, it will automatically search my symbols for symbols that match that text that I've typed. I can then choose the symbol that I want and just highlight the next one and start typing. Highlight the one that I want to use, double click on that, and it takes it straight into my cell. If there is just one symbol that matches in our library that matches the text that we typed, it will just automatically put it into that button. Now, I put in day there, so if I go, for example, to Wednesday, you can see that it's gone across still with that text that I've typed in, so I can go back and type in Wednesday. Let me just... If you want an alternative symbol, you can always search for this in the Open Symbols menu over here, and you can drag that across. So if we wanted a different Wednesday, we can drag that one across to our button and change it that way. Drag and drop. Now, people who are used to version 6 of Boardmaker will be used to the term drag and drop, and you can still drag and drop images from anywhere on your computer. What you need to do, so say for example I want to drop a photo across. What you need to do is open to where your photos are, highlight the thumbnail of the photo, drag that photo down onto our Boardmaker Studio icon down the bottom so that Boardmaker Studio opens up in the front, and drop it onto our cell. To add some text in there, I can go up to my label button, or text button as it used to be called, and start typing. Okay. Photo you're importing is something that you're going to want to use all the time. You can import it into your symbol library. Now there are a couple of different ways of doing this, but the easiest way that I've found to do this is to select a button, select the Properties tab, so we've got our Properties tab here on the right hand side, select the symbol so that the Open Symbol menu comes up in your screen. When that's visible, go back to open up over the top where your photos are stored, and then drag and drop your photo, the one that you want to use. Let's get one here. Drag and drop that or Open Symbol menu, and you can see that it takes it straight into where our photos are stored. If I select that now and choose Edit, I can then go in and change the label to what I want it to be. So I can add a label, and I can remove others, for example. I can then choose where I want to store that symbol. I can add that into daily life, events, holidays, visitor shopping, vacation, weather, entertainment. Okay, and it's added it into the categories there. Click OK and click OK. Now when I'm in, if I type sailing, it will come up as one of my options because I have assigned that label to that image, and it's saved into my library. Now, if that is a little overwhelming because there was a lot of steps involved in that, and you're not used to doing that, I just wanted to show that because that is a way of, you can still do that with Boardmaker Studio. I do get asked that question. Okay. I just want to show you a couple. Let's go back into our project tab and I'll go to a new page here. I just want to show you a couple of other types of buttons that exist that I get asked about, because one of the things I do get asked about is how do I put more than one symbol into a button when I used to be able to do it with Boardmaker version 6. If I go into, it's called a group button. If I go into if I go into the drop-down menu on the right-hand side and select group button and then draw my button, the group buttons give you the flexibility to add multiple symbols to a button and then arrange them in a layout that suits your needs. So select your group button type from the drop-down menu as we've done, and then select your symbols pane. So we'll come back over to our symbols pane and search for the symbols that you want. So just to quickly demonstrate this, let's make it a full page one. This could be as small or as big as you wanted to, depending on how big you want the button to be. And let's just do a bingo board, and I'll show you how quick and easy that can be. So let's go into, let's go back to our categories, and let's go to, let's do a bingo board for, still in animals, these are the main categories. Let's go to bingo board for transport. Here we go. And let's go into road signs, transport items. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for vehicles. Okay. What I can do is just drag and drop all of the options that I want in my bingo board. So let's drag it across. Drag it across. Now you'll notice I'm just dragging them anywhere. I can just freeform layout them at the moment so that they drop in wherever I drop them. And I'll show you what else you can do in just a moment. So let's go and select all of the ones that we want. Put a rocket in there. Now you notice that they're coming across without the label. Oh, see that when I have one highlighted, you'll see that this little tick box is not ticked. So it means that we don't include the label. Let's drag across. Now that we've got a few in there, what we can then choose to do, if we want them laid out, according to a grid, for example, we can then change the layout of the symbols within this button by selecting the button and selecting the properties pane. So over here we've got it nice and visible here, and then selecting choosing layout. And if we go into layout, you can see that at the moment we've got them in freeform. We can choose to have them auto-centered, auto-gridded, or gridded. So now they've put them in a grid for us, and we can just fill up the rest of that grid. And they're showing we've got more symbols here, so it extends it out for us so that we can see the rest of them. And this way I don't have to send, because I can see them all visibly here in my thumbnails, I don't have to search individually for them and come up with the ideas myself. I can just drag them in. This might be a good way to do a communication board as well, for example, if you're wanting to just do a full screen button and then drag them across using group buttons, which is what we've just been talking about. Now, the other two types of buttons, I don't want to go into these too much because it really is kind of more an advanced thing, is Symbolate and Freeform. So like with previous models of Boardmaker, you can use the Symbolate button to create symbol-supported text. If you click on the Symbolate, if you select the Symbolate type button, so let's go into, that's Freeform, let's go into Symbolate button again, where we had that group button. If we select the Symbolate button and then start typing, about our day at the zoo, for example, you'll see that it automatically comes up with symbols that match the search term, symbols that match the text that we're typing in that Symbolate button. Now, of course, you'd want to think about the level at which you symbolate an entire sentence. You might want to take out some of the, just symbolate the keywords in that sentence to add some meaning. However, this is not going to teach the child or the adult to read that word, to actually read that word. It might help them to understand the content a little bit better, so this is why Symbol 8's great for use with social stories or recipes, for example. But to actually read that word, just pairing it with a symbol, they're not going to be independently reading that word. It might help them to understand that they're not going to be reading the actual word. Also, I just want to point out with freeform buttons, as I said. So freeform buttons, which were available in Boardmaker version 6 as well, you can make a button to be any shape or size that you like, and then that just acts as any other button. So I can spray that button. Now, where this comes in handy is if I want to trace right around the edge of a symbol and then turn that border into a dotted line so that I can make it, say, for a cutting example, as I was talking about before, like a cutting activity, for example. So that's where freeform buttons can be useful in turning those into into cutting buttons. Okay. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of time now to just briefly go over gadgets and also show you some of the Studio Starter templates. We are looking at developing an online training that goes into gadgets and Studio Starter templates in a lot more detail, because you could spend a whole lot of time on these. But I do just want to show you these because these really are the time-saving things within Boardmaker Studio. Under gadgets, as I said before, let's go into our project again, just briefly. Let's go into our project again and go to, now let's add a new page. Okay, under gadgets, you'll see that they're all stored under these categories of different types of gadgets. And basically, gadgets are time-saving elements designed to be imported quickly and easily into any board to make them interactive. The programming has been already done for you, so you can put them into any existing activity or an activity that you're doing from scratch. Let's take a look at some of the examples. So under the basic gadgets, there's many of the things you might want to program onto an interactive page. Let me show you, so let me just show you some of the really cool gadgets. If I go into time, I've got a timer bar here for 1 minute that I can just click and drag over to my page. If I then just go into play mode, now it's not going to show. I need to put a navigation, just bear with me a second while I put a navigation gadget to get me through the next pages. Navigation gadget, next page button. I'm just going to drag one of these buttons onto each of my pages. Go back to gadgets, go to navigation button, go to our third page. This allows me to go through my pages when I'm in interactive mode. And we've got page 4. So when I go into play mode, I can go to my next page, go to my next page, go to my next page. As I said, the timer bar.
Go.
If I click on that button, it automatically times down 1 minute for me. So I could add that to a testing page where a multiple choice question is, and people have got, the students that I work with have got 1 minute to answer that question. And that's a visual cue for them. If I stop that, let's stop and let's go back to our page 4. Let's have a look at some of the other really cool gadgets. I can go into question, well, we just talked about multiple choices. I can go into multiple choice 2 choices. This is where some of the the advanced programming has already been done for me. It gives me step-by-step instructions of how to quickly and easily populate this gadget, turn it into interactive mode, and then we're done. So type your question below. I just type in here what my question is. What is the capital city of Melbourne? Oh, of Victoria, just get the answer away. Victoria. Let's put our right answer in here and say Melbourne. Put Melbourne there. And let's put our wrong answer in here and say Sydney. Okay, I don't need to worry about this red text because that will go away when I go into interactive mode. So now let's go through using our navigation buttons that are already pre-programmed, and I can listen to it.
What is the capital city of Victoria?
It spoke it out for me. I think you guys have just got a bit of a lag there. I'll do that again.
What is the capital city of Victoria? Go.
I've got 1 minute to answer that. I can have it, that's pretty generous, but you can see now that the two options have been swapped around. So automatically they've been swapped around.
Melbourne. That's right. The correct answer is Melbourne.
And all of that programming, that's right, the correct answer is Melbourne, that's all done underneath that button. I haven't had to do any of that. All I've basically had to think of is the question and populate those two answer buttons, and it's done. Okay. Let me just show you a couple of other really cool, I'll get rid of these gadgets. In fact, I will go on to the first page and get rid of this. Save us going through that navigation every time. Go into mathematics. This one's a great one. If I drag a copy button, counting bin, let's put a counting bin. It says when a student places any draggable object inside this bin, the number of objects will show at the bottom. So here, I just need to use edit in place, which is the way of populating easily and quickly that button. So let's do dog. That's fine. And let's do cat here. Let's go into play mode. And now when I drag my...
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's counting those. Now there is also one counting bin with labels where it will count 2 dogs, 2 cats, 3 dogs, 2 cats, etc. These gadgets really are quick and time-saving things that you can just add to any existing activity. So, as I said, we can add it to any existing activity. So here, we've added a navigation button gadget to that activity in order for us to get through our project. There are so many different gadgets that I'm not going to go through all of them today, but just that gives you an idea of how you can quickly and easily drag them onto your project and go into play mode, and they're there. One last gadget that I will show you that just has saved me so much time. If I go into page, let's go into page 4 again. Let's get rid of this. And let's go to our gadgets and let's go to what's it under writing? Okay, keyboards. I want a QWERTY keyboard on my page. I want a message window on my page. I want a check spelling button. And I also want a word prediction button, which is under here. Let's go on to word prediction bar horizontal. Let's go into play mode now. There's how, oh, I've taken them. That was smart. Sorry guys. Let's go into, I'm going to add a navigation button there to get through my page. Oh, sorry. Let's go onto here. Have that double clicked. Let's go onto there. Let's put a next page button in there. Let's go into play mode and go to our next page. Now you'll see that in a couple of minutes, not even, I have made an text-to-speech with word prediction buttons. So, hello.
Hello.
My
name.
Word prediction buttons down the bottom is Katie. Check spelling. Has it got the option there? Let's listen to it.
Is.
That's the one I want. And it's not there. Let's just ignore that. Okay, so that's using gadgets, and you can see how quickly and easily they can be used. All right, just in the short amount of time that I have left, I do just want to show you some of the Studio Starter templates. Now to do that, I'm just going to close and go to Connect, which is our Kinect Dashboard once more. And I'm going to go into New from Template this time. Now, Studio Starter templates, there's over 150 of these templates available in Boardmaker Studio. Within, you've got around 75 print activity templates, 300 speech generating device overlays, and over 150 Studio Starter templates. They're for developing on-screen activities with pre-programmed actions where you can simply insert your own content again, so you're not bogged down with some of the advanced programming. Just add symbols and text to individualize the template for the people you support, and your activity is complete. So there's templates obviously for various types of calendars, talking books, sequencing and sorting activities, and maths and writing activities, just to name a few. There are so many to look through. You can search for templates based on activity type. So at the moment we've got it where we can search for activities based on templates based on activity type. So if I go into books and presentations on screen, it will come up with all of the on-screen talking books. For example, if I go into calendars on screen, the on-screen calendars, for example, or I can go by instructional area, so assessment, communication, language, for fun, etc. If someone else has shown me a template and I can't find it, but I know basically what it's about, I can go into this search tab up the top here and go into book, and it will bring up all the books here. So just to show you, let's look at how easy it is to develop a talking book about my trip to the zoo. So let's go into book, and let's go into text on the left, and we need to enter a file name. It's prompting me to do that again so that I'm not overwriting the master, and I'm just going my trip to the zoo. Create. Let's replace the one that we already have there. Now you'll see that this book has 10 pages. I can easily change that. I'm not stuck. If I don't populate 3 of the pages, then when I'm in play mode, those 3 pages just simply won't show up. So with the Studio Starter templates, you're not restricted to how many pages or questions or grids or anything that are there. You can populate as many pages as you like. I'll show you what I mean. So on here, let's go my trip to. Now you can see that it's giving you the instructions in red there, which don't show up obviously when we're in play mode. I can go to my symbols there and I can search for zoo. It will come up with all of the options. Now I can click and drag that onto my page. I go through to the next page. Let's go back to our project here. Click on page 2. At the zoo I saw a funny monkey. Now I just happen to have a picture of a funny monkey that I took when I went to the zoo. So let's go into here and let's drag and drop that image onto our page. Let's go to page 3 and do one more. At the zoo I saw a black snake. Go back into here, click and drag that thumbnail so the Boardmaker Studio opens. drag it onto our page, and there we go. Now if I go back to page 1 and I go to play mode,
My trip to the zoo.
you'll see I can read my
My
page.
trip to the zoo.
I can go to my next page.
At the zoo I saw a funny monkey.
I can go back a page.
My trip to the zoo.
I can also use this symbols tab here. Now what this does is it automatically comes up with symbols that match the text that I've put on my book. Now sometimes they don't match up if you've got, say saw and it comes up with a saw instead of I saw. But what I can do with these is I can move them and drag them onto my page if I want to add meaning to the text by adding a picture, if that's useful for the person that I'm working with. Let's close that tab. Let's go through to my next page.
At the zoo I saw a funny monkey.
Now, as I said, because we've only populated 3 of the pages,
At the zoo I saw a black snake.
once we get to that,
Text goes here.
okay, well, it didn't do it, but it's supposed to not show us those pages, but we can delete those.
What would you like to do now?
Let's go exit. Let's go, I just want to show you a couple of other examples before we finish. Let's go into close and go to Connect. We're going to go in that same way again to show you. New from template. This time I'm going to show you a sequencing activity. So I'm going to go into sequencing on screen and just show you how quick it is. I'm using the sequencing horizontal 4 items here. How quick it is to do a sequencing activity. Washing your hands. It again gives me the directions that I need to follow in order to quickly and easily populate this. So let's put, it says type the directions to the student below. So this is where we type the directions. And it's already got some there, so let's leave those. Place the pictures in the correct order on these buttons. So let's go into Edit in Place, and we'll do, what's the first step in washing your hands? Turn, tap. Oh, let's turn tape. Turn, on, tap. Okay, so now it comes up with all of the ones that are relevant. Let's just go, I know there is a tap one, but let's just go to turn on tap. Let's go soap, apply soap. Let's go turn tap off. Let's just put tap in there. Maybe it's, I know it's in there, let's just put turn off. Turn off, there we go, it should be in turn on. Let's just change that. Turn on, turn off, and then dry hands. And there's one there, click on that. And you can see we're using a combination of our classic and our thin line PCS there. Now let's go into edit mode, play mode. And you can see that it's jumbled up our symbols, so it's made it into a real activity for our student. And what we can do, because we had it in the correct order in edit mode, we just click and drag. It doesn't go there, it jumps
turn on
back.
is the first item.
So it's saying it's the first item.
That's right. Turn on is the first item. That's right. Soap is the second item. No. Turn off is the third item.
Now, if you're not happy with the feedback that it's providing, which has already been, if it's giving your student too many clues, for example, or if it's already been, if you want it to say something different, you can obviously change all of those things. But at least you've got somewhere to start and you're not having to do all of that yourself. So that's just a couple of the Studio Starter templates. We're running out of time, so I'm not going to show you any more today. But you can see with just a brief look at Studio Starter templates that a lot of the advanced programming is already being done for you, so that you can simply customize the activity with the people that you're working with, and you can concentrate on the content. I do just want to show you, if I just go into the internet now, this is Boardmaker Share, which is what I touched on, which you can access directly through the Kinect Dashboard, as I showed you in the beginning. And here you can search all of the activities that are on here. So let's just put in schedule. For example, if we wanted like a timetable or a schedule, and you can see that there's 445 schedules up there. So if there is a schedule in there that I think that I like, I can click on it, and it may just need a little bit of refining or a little bit of adjusting, but at least a lot of the hard work's already been done for me. So I can choose to download the activity to my computer. I can choose to add it to my activities. So if I'm browsing at home and I'm not on the activity at school, I'm not on the computer at school that I use, that I need the activity on, I can just add it into my activities, and it saves all of the activities that I think are useful under my profile. There's lots of other things that we can do with Boardmaker Share. You can create groups so that you can have friends on there so that you can share activities together. You can have groups so that you have all of the teachers from one school accessing the same boards, etc. There's lots of things you can do with Studio. But it is, with Boardmaker Share, but it is definitely worth taking a look at that. Okay, so I'm going to finish up there. If anyone has any questions, please let me know, and I'll just give you my just give you my email address there, so that, but you can speak to either one of the speech pathologists or our support people at Spectronics, so that they can answer any questions that you have about Boardmaker Studio. Thanks a lot for coming along today, and please let us know if you've got any questions. Thanks.